Mexico's interoceanic corridor is one of the most important mega projects in history. Here's why. The construction of the Panama Canal marks a critical cornerstone in global shipping, trade, and overall human history. Before 1914, when the Panama Canal was constructed, if merchants wanted to ship goods from London to San Francisco, they would have to complete a perilous journey to the southernmost part of South America, cross the Strait of Magellan, and travel north to San Francisco. For most ships, this journey lasted several months. Some never even reached their destination. With the Northwest Passage being impassable to ships due to thick ice, the US government ordered the construction of the Panama Canal, cutting through the Isthmus of Panama. With its construction, the journey from London to San Francisco was shortened by 12,000 kilometers because the canal could be crossed in less than a day. But after 110 years, the Panama Canal is facing serious problems, and Mexico is currently working on a $5 billion solution. Now, every year, $270 billion of US cargo pass through the Panama Canal. 4 out of every 10 US containers must pass through this one-day passage, and they represent roughly 3/4 of the canal's traffic. However, due to the recent severe drought in the region, the Panama Canal is slowly drying up, and this will cause chaos for the US and by extension, the global economy. Because climate change is reducing the water level, weight restrictions on ships passing through the Panama Canal are being imposed. Ocean carriers impose container surcharges to reduce traffic and hopefully save the canal. From 36 daily transits, that number has been reduced to only 30 per day. It might not seem like much, but that's a 17% traffic reduction. Over the course of a year, that's 2,200 ships. On top of that, wait times are ever increasing, leaving a large queue of ships waiting to pass. Shippers are forced to send multiple ships to deliver the same goods due to restrictions on cargo capacity. If they want to ship more containers, they'll have to pay the $1,500 fee. And this will seriously affect smashing that like button, just like you should if you haven't done so already. But no, in all seriousness, it will seriously affect the price of all the grain and agricultural commodities leaving the port of New Orleans and heading to China, increasing the cost and slowing the delivery. The locals are upset that they have to compete with water resources while fighting the corrupt government trying to build a new reservoir. Thankfully, like we said earlier, there's a solution. As tensions rise in Panama, Mexico planned to revive the interoceanic railway, found at the Isthmus of Tehuantepec, that connected the cities of Oaxaca near the Pacific and Veracruz near the Atlantic. Mexico realized the opportunity of building a railway that connected the two oceans. Ships would unload containers at the port cities, and workers and machines would then load the cargo on a train and travel across the isthmus, where they would be loaded onto a ship and delivered to their final destination. Up to 60 trains per day traveled across the interoceanic corridor. The Mexican economy experienced a major boom, but then everything came crashing down. When the Panama Canal was constructed in 1914, traffic dried up, dropping about 80% from just a few years prior. Even though the interoceanic corridor was faster than the Panama Canal, most avoided it for 3 major reasons. First, American companies wanted to support the American Panama Canal project instead of one in a foreign country. Second, Mexico was embroiled in a civil war, so no American company wanted to risk sending their goods through Mexico. And third, what do you think is easier? A ship delivering 1,000 containers from point A to point B, or a ship and a train and a second ship delivering those same 1,000 containers? As the years went by, the railway was used less and less. Repairs became too expensive and remained in a state of disrepair for around 100 years. However, all that changed when López Obrador became president of Mexico in 2018. Just a few months after assuming office in July 2018, Obrador announced the revival of the once great interoceanic corridor that connected the Atlantic and Pacific, posing as a direct competitor to the Panama Canal. However, instead of reviving only the railway in the Isthmus of Tehuantepec, they're opening 3 new lines. Line Z will connect Salina Cruz and Coatzacoalcos. Line FA will connect Coatzacoalcos with Palenque, and Line K connecting Ciudad Ixtepec to Ciudad Hidalgo. Put together, these 3 lines will measure over 1,000 kilometers or 620 miles, on top of the old 1,200 kilometer line from the 20th century. Looking to stimulate foreign investment in the region, around 10 new industrial parks will be constructed near the project. The cost of these industrial parks is said to be equal around $1 billion, while the total cost of the entire project is set somewhere around $5 billion. Construction crews could be seen on the site as early as June 2020. The workers began clearing out forests and putting in new rail tracks. Now, if everything goes according to plan, the corridor will drastically improve the connectedness in the region, building not only new railway routes, but also new ports, roadways, and airports in the Tehuantepec Isthmus. After all, this is not just a railroad project, but a multimodal transportation project. This way, passengers and cargo will move seamlessly from coast to coast. It will also represent a logistics hub, integrating all the different modes of transportation and making cargo handling, storage, and distribution much easier. Not to mention the environmental benefits this project would provide. We all know that the heavy traffic in the Panama Canal and the Red Sea increases carbon emissions while polluting the air and water. Just by providing an alternative route, the interoceanic corridor will significantly reduce the pollution in the region. Now let's discuss challenges that Mexico will need to overcome if the corridor is to be successful. President Obrador had to send the military to seize part of the line, which was in the hands of a corrupt private company. Before offering compensation to the private company, Obrador had to make sure the line was in the hands of the government. The project has been met with serious protests from indigenous groups from Oaxaca, worrying about the railway's impact on the environment. After all, they're tearing down forests to build the railway lines. Families are being relocated by force, and all of this feels a little controversial. That being said, the interoceanic corridor will create around 500,000 new jobs for the locals. $50 billion of international investment will be injected into the project, which could dramatically improve the country. Plus, this is not some silly pipe dream. Line Z was completed in August last year, and the president himself rode a train across it. The journey took around 9 hours, which means the route was much faster than traveling through the Panama Canal. At the end of 2023, the first train route from the Atlantic to the Pacific was opened to the public. Line FA and K are expected to be finished in 2024. However, if Mexico doesn't fix the obvious problems plaguing the progress of southern Mexico, then US companies will remain hesitant to invest in the country because of poor labor regulations, a lack of skilled workforce, and weak infrastructure. This problem could be easily solved with new jobs and new infrastructure, which the corridor already plans to provide. If Mexico wants to be a contender to the Panama Canal, they'll have to fix most, if not all of these problems before some serious changes start to happen. Now, here's another video mega project enthusiasts enjoyed watching. Bye for now.